Welcome and let your journey to soul expansion begin. I'm your host, Kristen Kaczynski. This show will take you on a journey of expansion, encouraging you to release the limitations of your mind and lean into the wisdom of your soul. Remembering who you are on a soul level will help you release your conditioning, expectations, limiting beliefs, fears, and worries, and evoke a life expanded by your energetic alignment. Whether you're an entrepreneur who wants to grow your income and impact, or someone who knows in your heart of hearts that you're made for more, this podcast will help you awaken the power that's already inside of you, allowing you to attract an easy flow of money, clients, opportunities, and fulfillment. In each episode, you'll learn something new, expand your consciousness, and you'll walk away with a glimpse of what's truly possible for you. If you're ready to follow your soul's calling and live a more expansive life, you're in the right place. Welcome, and let your journey to soul expansion begin. Welcome back to the Soul Expansion Podcast Impact Series. As you may have started to figure out, we are doing an entire series on shifting from the energy of a solopreneur, or something that I've coined is like a baby CEO, where you're starting to kind of like blossom into that CEO role, all the way up to an embodied leader who's truly sitting in the visionary CEO role. And the next part of this series that we're talking about today is expanding income streams and increasing profitability. So this is something that is so important if you're wanting to expand into multi-6, 7 figures, and especially it's been shown that multi-7-figure net worth individuals have a bare minimum of at least 7 income streams, right? So the more income streams, the better. And we can actually expand our income streams in business, but of course, there's also other ways to expand your income streams beyond business as part of your general financial portfolio, with investments, real estate, the stock market, things like this, where you may, branch out beyond business. But today, what I'm going to be talking about is expanding your income streams within your business so that you can start to, experience growth in your income without having to trade time for money. And also, as you expand your income streams, you open up yourself to more stability and security in your business. When we're so dependent on one type of income, then, as the market changes, as things change in our business, as things change in our life, sometimes, we can have this energy of risk associated with like all our eggs being in one basket. And, as you start to expand into this embodied leader, this more powerhouse CEO type role, you want to be thinking about all scenarios and also be in this energy of, okay, let's diversify, right? Like, let's diversify the business. Let's diversify where our money is coming from. Let's expand the different streams where we can receive money. And so for a lot of my clients, it's as simple as branching out from their current coaching model, right? So a lot of people come to me when they have like a solid one-on-one coaching program or one-to-one high ticket services of some kind, and they're ready to branch out into courses, memberships, masterminds, things of that nature. So it could be as simple as expanding your offer suite. But there's other things that you can think about as well when you're, starting to branch out and expand into multi-6 and 7 figures. For sure, I would start looking at things like affiliate marketing and strategic collaborations. So how can you start to sell not just what you have on offer, right? Like not just your offers, but other programs, products, or services that you really stand behind. So an example of this for me that's actually been quite lucrative in my business is the coaching certification that I went through. And actually, let's go ahead and throw an affiliate link in the show notes if we can, podcast editor. So we'll make sure we have that for you. So if you are looking to get certified as a coach in modalities such as NLP, clinical hypnotherapy, EFT time techniques, Reiki, as well as this certification also has an element of somatic healing in it, created by the founder, Erin Nicole. So, this is one of those affiliate programs that I truly stand behind. Number one, because I went through the service myself. I went through the coaching certification myself and found it to be a very high quality. And it's tools that I use every day in my business. And actually, I still work with the founder in a different capacity. She's, my personal mentor, not my certification teacher or whatever. So all in all, this is one of those brands, this is one of those services that I truly feel good about putting my name behind and offering as an affiliate offering through to my audience, right? And that's the most important thing. When we're branching out into selling other people's products and services, we don't want to be in the energy of anything we can get our hands on, right? Because affiliate programs are a dime a dozen now. And, maybe back in the day, it was a little more rare for there to be affiliate opportunities. But now it's like every program, every service, every major brand has a way for you to be an affiliate as, an influencer or as, someone with an online following and presence. And so we want to be selective about the companies that we choose to align ourselves with. And Quantum Ripple Effect Institute is one of those companies where, number one, I've been through the product. I know it's high quality. I feel good putting my name behind it. I feel good about the values of the company, right? And that's something I look at now. You guys heard, maybe a month or two ago when we brought on Todd White from Dry Farm Wines, and one of their values is spirituality and conscious capitalism, right? So they, want to, of course, grow their income and impact, but they also want to do it in a way that serves their people and, doesn't take advantage of their employees. And that's something I deeply respect about that company, right? And so it's looking at not only do you like the product, do you like the service, but are your values aligned with the company's values? And so affiliate income streams are a beautiful way to start to expand your income. And like I said, for me, a couple of the partnerships I've started to form have been quite lucrative for me. I know Quantum Ripple Effect, I've, definitely had some pretty good revenue come in through that. And I think the main reason because of that is because I fully believe in the service, right? And it's the same thing with our own products and services. If you fully believe in the product, then you will be able to sell it with a lot of ease, and it'll be so easy for you to tell people about it, for you to share why you love it, why you would recommend it. And I definitely feel that way about Quantum Ripple Effect. So again, if you are looking to get certified as a coach and you're wanting a trauma-informed, high quality, just really a fantastic certification company to go through, check our show notes. We'll pop the affiliate link in there, and you can always send me a DM on Instagram at Kristen Kaczynski if you wanted to chat more about this offering. But yeah, so that's one example of an income stream that I've expanded into. Dry Farm Wines, I'm also an affiliate for. We'll pop that affiliate link in there too if you're wanting to get lab tested, natural, low alcohol, sugar-free wines. But you also want to be thinking about within your own product suite too, right? So a lot of people come to me with one-on-one coaching or maybe even group coaching offers in their offer suite. But one thing I think is so powerful is when we're able to expand into an offer that is minimal time commitment for you as the facilitator, but has the potential to serve thousands or even tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions without necessarily taking up that much more of your time. Now, here's the caveat. As you expand into a much broader audience, as you expand into a much broader customer base, there are natural things that will increase, like customer service inquiries, managing the payments, managing different things on the back end. But what I'm talking about here is not having to trade your time for money as the coach and facilitator, right? Assuming you're in a coach, teaching, facilitation type role in your business right now. So for me, that program is Soul Expansion Membership. And if you wanted to learn more about that, it's mysoulexpansion.com. But what's amazing about this program is no matter how many people I have in this program, it will always be the same time commitment for me. Now, again, if I have 100,000 people in this membership, then yes, my team, my customer service team is going to have more work, but that's not anything that I feel the need to do myself anyway. So for me, it's always going to be the same. It's always going to be the same energy, the same input for a much larger output. And that's something that's really amazing about a membership community that, a lot of my clients end up deciding to create one, even if they don't necessarily have the audience for it yet. It creates this opportunity to grow into this massive community. And for me, what's amazing about the membership too is it gives people a really low cost way to kind of like sample me or, give my work a try, so to speak. And our retention is fantastic. And we're able to actually upgrade a lot of clients from the membership into my multi-5-figure mastermind, right? That's a big jump. So they're going from like paying $100 a month to paying, $3,500 per month, at the time I'm recording this. But the reason why we're able to see that upgrade happen, and we're going to talk more about client retention in the next episode, but just as a quick little preview, the reason why we see that happen is because the product is still high quality, even at the $100 level, right? Soul Expansion membership, it's $111 per month, but I still put forth enough time, energy, commitment, and quality control to make sure it's a really just amazing representation of what I do, even if it's lower cost, right? And that's what I think really leads to people upgrading and expanding with you is if your lower cost offers are that freaking good where people really see the value, they really experience a transformation, they really come to understand how much care and quality and even like your skill set, right? Like for me, the membership is a beautiful way for me to showcase what's possible when we work together because, I take them through a variety of modalities that help them transform and change and expand in a self-paced environment. And so it gives them a good preview of my skill set if we were to work together in a more intimate capacity, like in my mastermind. So having a program like that, even if it's not a membership, like let's say maybe it's like a passive course offering, something like that where people can start to dip their toe into your little world, right? Into your world, and they can start to see how amazing and incredible you are. That starts to open up possibilities for, number one, more people to work with you, but also for that long-term growth with you over time, assuming you do put the quality in the lower ticket offer. So we'll get more into client retention in the next episode, in episode number 59. But coming back to expanding income streams. So you can jump into affiliate marketing. You can jump into even things like network marketing. Like I have clients who have combined coaching services with network marketing if there's like a network marketing company that they really love. For me, I don't have the energy to sign people up for a network marketing program. I would much rather do like affiliate sales where I don't have to manage a team, of network marketers. I just have to focus on product sales or services sales, and it can be something that I really truly believe in. So those are a couple ways, and then expanding your offer suite, of course, but also thinking even more creatively. You can also start to expand your income streams in terms of like guest speaking roles. So, a lot of us in the online space will speak for other people's groups and masterminds. And so why not use that as another avenue for income growth, right? Why not charge a fee for your time that feels really good? It feels like a good energetic exchange to you as you share your expertise with a group. I charge right now $250 per 60-minute experience with me. So if you wanted to bring me in for your group or for your mastermind, and this is always available, right? So you can always reach out to me and see what our current rates are. Right now, it's $250 per hour. I'm willing to come in and do a special healing for your group. We can do breath work. We can do an energetic attunement. We can do somatic healing. We can do more masterclass style. We can do coaching. So, I charge for that service, and, I end up doing that service periodically. I mean, I'm definitely going to be ramping it up as we continue on this year. And it's not necessarily my main income driver, but it is another income driver, right? And then another avenue to start expanding your income streams is to think like a bigger picture and like more long term, right? So some of these things that I'm telling you, these are like quick implementation things, like guest speaking fee. You can implement that like tomorrow, right? Or today. Affiliate sales. This is something you can start to implement really quickly and, possibly get some sales, within a couple weeks or months. But when we're thinking like really, really, really long term, so I'm thinking like big picture now for my business, right? And so for me, part of the motivation of starting this podcast was so that one day I could get podcast sponsors. And you'll notice we're doing 2 episodes per week now. And that's because I really want to ramp up the subscribership. I want more listeners. I want more people to know who I am. I want more people to fall in love with this podcast and all the work we're doing here, so that I have the stats and the downloads and the subscribers to be able to take it to brands that I really love and care about and be like, hey, take a look at our numbers, take a look at our amazing audience, take a look at our amazing listeners, and see how much they love this show. We would love to showcase your brand or product. And, for that, you can get very high ticket sponsorships, right? Like I know podcasts that have 6-figure sponsorships. And, one of my goals is to have a multi 5-figure sponsorship by the end of 2022. So I'll let you know if that pans out, but I'm sure it will, right? So it's important to think of like the short term, how do I expand my income streams like right now, right away, but then also expanding out and thinking long term, right? This podcast, at the time you're listening to this, at the time this episode will be released, will have been live on the air, so to speak, for over a year. Or for exactly a year, I think, by the time this episode drops. So that was a long-term choice, a long-term commitment on my part. That took some forward thinking, some vision, some really like powerful clarity on where I want to be going. And if you ask me where I want to be going, I want to grow beyond the coaching space, right? Like I want to be a speaker, author, podcaster. I want to be on like talk shows. I want to be on, like the big podcasts. I want to be on stage, right? So I have been working toward that much bigger expansion for at least a year now with the creation of this podcast, right? And so that's something to be thinking through as well as you're wanting to have a bigger impact. What are the longer term pieces that you have to put in place now to get where you want to go 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now, right? So like I fully expect 2 years from now or less that this will be a really like powerful podcast with 1 million+ downloads, maybe multiple millions of downloads, and we will have 6-figure sponsorships. And quite possibly all of my online programs will be passive. Maybe I will not be doing private coaching anymore, except for, people who are willing to pay my very high prices. And instead, what I'll be doing is speaking, podcasting, podcast sponsorships, and, big programs for the masses, like online courses and master classes and that sort of thing. So I'm putting all of this in place now while a lot of my income does come from coaching and group coaching and mastermind and stuff like that. But I started that a year ago. I started this podcast a year ago. So there's this element of knowing where you're going in 2 to 3 years and putting those longer term pieces that have to be in place now so that you can expand into that in, 2 to 3 years. And, we're 1 year in on this podcast and we've had some incredible growth, and it only goes up, right? Like you only get more listeners, you only get more downloads, you only reach more people, assuming you're consistent. And for us, we've got 2 episodes per week. We've got a lot of incredible content. So I don't really worry about the podcast growing. But it's one of those things where it does take the time, right? It does take the time to grow. And so what are some of those longer term expansions for your income streams that you want to put in place now? And maybe for you, it's not a podcast. Maybe you don't want to be a podcast speaker, author like I do, but maybe you want to expand into YouTube. Maybe you want to, expand into writing books. Maybe you want to expand into blogging. Maybe you want to focus on a season of growing your email list or your texting list, right? There's lots of different things you can consider and think about, but some of these things do take more time to bring about, to come about, to manifest. And so it's so important to think about this now when maybe your current business model is great and it's, it's giving you what you need in the short term, but maybe it's not quite set up for the like $1 million vision, right? Okay. So that was a little chit chat on expanding income streams. And then of course, I definitely encourage you. I'm not an expert in this stuff yet. I'm sure one day I will be. But I definitely encourage you to explore other ways of expanding your income streams financially, right? Things like cryptocurrency, things like real estate, things like stock market, things like index funds. To be honest, like I don't really dabble in that stuff yet. I have my retirement account and I have a couple of stock market situation things, but I am by no means an expert in financial instruments. So I encourage you to explore that, but I'm not the expert for you when it comes to that. But definitely we want to be expanding our income streams within business. So now let's kind of like shift gears and talk about increasing profitability. So something that is really common in the online space is revenue chasing, right? We want the 10K month, the 20K month, the 30K month, the la 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 la, right? So a lot of times we are chasing revenue. And when we chase revenue, we're willing to put a lot of investment into the business to get the higher revenue, but that doesn't necessarily translate to more profit. And I started to notice this in like the first year and a half of my business. I was investing a lot in my business. I was investing a lot in my growth, but the long-term like profitability was not showing up how I wanted it to show up. Part of the reason why this was the case was because my focus was on chasing revenue instead of on, planning for profit, right? And so this is a really powerful energetic and mindset shift for you is how do I start planning for profit? How do I put more focus on profitability, less focus on the revenue chase? How do I really hold myself in a season of expansion without adding more bodies to my team, right? Because that's what was happening. I was adding people to my team with the expectation of more profit. But adding more people to your team doesn't necessarily translate to more profit. It might translate to less time. It might translate to less effort on your part, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll translate to more profit. So now the way I approach my business is it's profit first. And this is actually a book. So if you're interested in learning some of these concepts on a deeper level, check out Profit First. This is a book that I liked the concepts. I liked the structure of it. I liked some of the mindset work on it. I don't subscribe to all of the money mindset beliefs associated with that book. So that's a caveat there. I believe in much more limitless expansion as compared to what this book portrays. But I do think the principles, the structures, the systems of Profit First are rock solid and a wonderful way to plan your business, especially as like a new-ish business owner, right? So a lot of us in the online space, this is our first business. A lot of us in the online space, we may have zero experience doing financials. And so this gave me a really powerful framework for planning for my financials, right? And the way I do it is I have percentages for profit, which that comes first, owner's compensation, taxes, and my like business income expense account, right? So 4 accounts, and I think in the book they recommend 5, but I only have 4 and it like covers all my bases. So 4 accounts, and like every like twice a month or sometimes 3 times a month, as a big influx of income comes in, I then divvy it out according to my current percentages. And these change over time, right? So I'm increasing my profitability as a business over time. And I'm increasing my owner's compensation over time. And of course, I'm increasing my tax savings over time, the money I set aside for tax payments. And I'm increasing my profitability while keeping my expenses relatively steady. I mean, they've gone up a little bit, but I'm really, really excited and really proud to say that our expenses have been pretty stable, even as we've increased our revenue and our profitability. So this only happens when you plan for it, right? And a lot of the newer entrepreneurs, the solopreneurs, or like the baby CEOs where you're just starting to expand into that CEO role, this is something that's not really on your radar because you're still in the revenue chase. But this is something I would highly, highly, highly recommend you put some focus on and you plan for. Because if you don't plan for profit, you don't have profit, right? Like it just won't happen. You'll find a way to spend the money if you're not focused on setting some money aside for your profit. So get the book Profit first if you want to go deeper on these concepts. But talking more about the practical, how to increase your profitability. So practically, some of the things we did was we didn't add more to our like overhead. And for me, that's mostly like bodies that work for me, like people that work for me. We didn't add more to our overhead before we were ready for it. So I get approached by service providers all the time, like, oh, you need to add ads, you need to add this, you need to add that. And I am so focused on what I want, and that is a highly profitable business, right? So I don't add team members until the cash flow is there. I don't add people until it feels really spiritually aligned and, profitability aligned to add them in. So there are things where I don't add it to my business right away simply because it doesn't make sense from a profitability standpoint. And this is how we get out of the revenue chase, right? We're in the revenue chase when we're adding more people to our team and we're adding more things like PR, YouTube, this, that, right? We're adding all the things, but we're not like adding the things with a direct plan for how it's going to increase the profitability. So this podcast is a beautiful example of an exception to that rule, right? I'm okay with the investment in the podcast, even if it's not directly leading to an increase in profitability, because it is directly leading to the business model that I want 2 to 3 years from now. So that's a caveat, right? So it makes sense to invest time, energy, and money into the podcast, knowing what we're aiming to build 2 to 3 years from now. However, if I was just doing this podcast because I thought I just had to do a podcast and I thought I just had to be everywhere on the internet and I thought I just had to be seen more, that would be kind of a waste of business investment. It wouldn't be focused on my long-term vision. It wouldn't be leading somewhere where there will be a potential for a lot more profitability, right? Like when I become a speaker, author, podcaster, the same things I'm doing now will I'll be paid so much more for them because of sponsorships, because of paid speaking gigs, because of, like our platform growing, right? Like as the podcast platform itself grows, now we have a bigger customer base that knows, likes, and trusts us as a brand and will be interested in the Soul Expansion membership, for example. So there has to be a purpose for what you're adding. Don't add just because Susie service provider says, oh, if you don't have this, then you're missing out, right? Know where you're going, know what your long-term vision is, know why you're doing something. And if it doesn't add to your profitability, know deep within your soul that it's meant to be in your business plan because it is going to lead to something much bigger in a couple of years, right? So it's about becoming more intentional. And when you start out your business, when you're still in the revenue chase, you're kind of just like throwing, as people say in the online space, you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to figure out what's going to stick. So my invitation to you is be more intentional. Don't focus on just adding and adding and adding and adding and growing and growing and growing and growing without a purpose, a vision, or a plan for where all of that is leading. Because you're just going to keep spinning your wheels and you're going to stay stuck in the hustle trap and you're going to stay stuck in the revenue chase and you're going to get to the end of the year and wonder where all of your profit went. If you don't plan, if you're not intentional, if you don't have that bigger vision for your long-term business plan and also for your profitability. So that's one thing about profitability. A couple other like quick things that can be helpful is do an audit of all of the expenses and service providers that you have and get really honest with yourself about if it's actually adding anything to your profitability. And there's caveats to this, right? So like I have a personal virtual assistant, right? And maybe directly that's not adding to my profitability, but it gives me more space and energy to do what I do best, right? So there are certain service providers where they might not directly lead to your profitability, but they give you more space, time, and energy, which that in turn does directly lead to more profitability. But an example of something that I haven't implemented yet, at least at the time I'm recording this, is I haven't implemented a PR agency yet, because even though I want to be everywhere, even though I want to expand into a much bigger audience and a much bigger platform, for me, it's not making a ton of sense to do it just yet. And I can see myself doing it later this year. I can definitely see myself doing it probably in Q3. But every time I look at it, it doesn't feel quite right yet. And I really trust my intuition when it comes to investing in my business. So, be smart about your investments. Be smart about where you are placing your eggs into baskets, right? And my non-negotiables are, I need a business and mindset mentor. You heard me talk about this earlier in the show, Erin. So that is something that is a planned investment in my business. I need my podcast team. I refuse to edit my own podcast and do all of the wonderful things that they do. So that's like a non-negotiable. And I need my virtual assistant. And she does a lot of like back-end client work for us. And then from there, I'm focusing on what's going to move the needle cash flow wise, what's going to help us expand into more profitability. And then from there, when we're like really in a surplus, then I'm like, okay, let's move into this next arena. Let's move into this next investment. So figure out what your non-negotiables are, and then, cut what you don't actually need or use, right? Like I don't actually need or use a graphic designer. I just don't. So maybe that's not something you need or use either, right? And then also look at consolidating your tools. So sometimes we have tools in the online space and we can get like duplicate tools where like our email platform does the same thing as our course platform, for example. And I think when you're a much larger business, maybe it makes sense to have the best of each tool and to have them all, kind of like function in their own way. But for me, as, still a relatively small business with only, 2 major people working in my business besides me, it doesn't make sense to have 17 trillion tools, even if, each one is the best in their class. So for me, we consolidated everything onto Kajabi. Even this podcast that you're listening to is on Kajabi. And why not? Let's throw the affiliate link for Kajabi in here as well. So if you are looking to consolidate, Kajabi is a great platform for that. It has my courses. It has my membership. It has my podcast. It has my website. It has my email platform. It has my payment links. It has literally everything in my business. And there's only like one other major tool that we use besides Kajabi in my business, because Kajabi is so robust. So that's another way that you can very easily increase profitability, is consolidating all onto one like full service platform. And obviously I recommend choosing the best one for you. I personally like Kajabi because it's so user-friendly on the customer side and actually on the business owner side too. And it is so robust. And one of the coolest things about Kajabi, I think, is unlimited storage. And if you're an online business owner, especially if you're like a course platform, we need a lot of storage, right? And so that's something that I think makes Kajabi really stand out. Maybe other platforms do it, but I've just been on Kajabi for so many years that I haven't really checked or cared about what other platforms are doing, because we've just been so happy with Kajabi. So if you are looking to consolidate so that you can increase your profitability, Kajabi is a great tool for that. Okay, so that's what I have for you for expanding income streams and increasing profitability. Obviously, we go more in depth and more custom to you in Expansion Mastermind when we're thinking about these realms of increasing your impact. So if you are interested in joining us in Expansion Mastermind, go to kristenkaczynski.com/expansion and you can submit your application. Spots are extremely limited. And, we really want to make sure you're given the highest service and the highest care in this container, because it is, a higher ticket container. You are investing a more substantial amount, but that's because you get so much custom access, support, and we really, make sure that you're getting the best results you possibly can. So head to kristenkaczynski.com/expansion. Check the show notes for all of the affiliate programs we mentioned. And, if you have any questions at any point in time, you know how to reach me. Go to Instagram, check out my profile at Kristen Kaczynski. Send me a quick DM and we can chat about where you're at, anything you need support with, and if you're interested in joining one of my programs. So that's all for today. Next in the Impact series, we're talking about expanding client retention. So get excited. Expansion Mastermind is my favorite container ever. It is my favorite container to facilitate. I absolutely love the transformations that the women inside experience. It is one of my most transformational containers other than one-on-one coaching. And it is a container in which you get one-on-one access to me. You get monthly one-on-one calls, direct access to me in a messenger app called Voxer. In case you can't tell, I do love the deeper inner work, and I do love being able to help women shift from doing to receive, or like the hustle mentality in business, to receiving just to receive, receiving just because you exist, receiving just because you're worthy of receiving money from your energy and not from, the exhausting launch strategies or whatever other bullshit you've been putting yourself through to build your business. So to answer your questions, yes, it's 100% possible to manifest clients and money in business. Yes, it's 100% possible for this to be your main strategy when it comes to growing your income. And yes, your life will change if you're willing to do the deeper inner work that we do in Expansion Mastermind to be able to embody and stabilize this and make it more consistent for you. So this mastermind is high touch. It's capped at 10 women. At the time I'm recording this, I don't know how many spots will be available because we are doing a pre-sale for this launch. But right now there is at least one spot available, I'm sure, if you're wanting to apply to join us. We have shifted this container to have specific enrollment periods. So at the time that you're listening to this, we are open for enrollment now, but we will not be open for enrollment for very much longer, and we won't open up enrollment again until the end of 2022. So this is your chance to get in now before we close enrollment for the rest of the year until the end of the year. And it is a 6-month minimum commitment. So if you join for 6 months, you get to come to our in-person retreat in Miami, and that's going to be in late September, early October. We will finalize the dates. They probably are already finalized by the time you're listening to this. But we would love to have you. This program includes private healing calls with a small mastermind group. It includes hot seat coaching calls with a maximum of 5 people per call. It includes, intimate access to me in Voxer. It includes one-on-one calls with me. It includes all sorts of amazing support and access to all of my programs, courses, memberships, everything while you are under contract. So it is my most high-touch container other than one-on-one coaching, and it's designed for female entrepreneurs who are making at least 6 figures and are ready to grow, expand, and quantum leap, all the things. So obviously I'm obsessed with this container. I love it. I hope you will feel called to join us, and if you are, you can do so by going to KristenKaczynski.com/expansion. Or you can just send me a DM on Instagram and we can chat more. I'm at Kristen Kaczynski.